Like, I will be damned if someone that I know, unfortunately, I could see right through the man. And I could tell he has a ton of issues at home, a ton of issues in his life, in his heart, unresolved.
Right.
And I just looked at myself and I'm like, you're going to put yourself in the leadership of this person? Like, what are you doing? You're taking a million steps backwards. And I just knew I had to get out because every day I hated my life. Because if you wake up hating your life, that's just not a good recipe. And I didn't know I did not know what I was going to do at all. Hey guys, my name is Veronica Schreyer, and this is Entrepreneur Unleashed.
Welcome back to another episode of Entrepreneur Unleashed. I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm joined in the studio by Veronica Schreyer. If you guys have been following me at any length, you know that I'm a firm believer that the best way to shortcut your journey of success is to learn vicariously through others. And today, I have an amazing story for you. The story you're about to hear is life-changing, not only for her, but for anyone who's interested in learning from her experience. And with that being said, I can't delay any further. I just want to jump right into a conversation. Veronica, thank you so much for being here.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to get this going and excited to see where the conversation takes us.
Well, I know that I've learned a little bit about you in the time that we've gotten to know each other, but I know that a lot of the audience doesn't know you. So if you wouldn't mind, just give us like a snapshot of who Veronica is today, where you are today, and then we could just have a conversation.
So where Veronica is today, I guess the best way to put that is a woman who really knows who she is and what she wants. And my journey is a journey of evolution, of thinking I wanted something, right? Going to college for news reporting, becoming a news reporter, and then recognizing, wait, a lot of the things I desire don't come with this career. And, praying about it and having opportunities arise and taking them. So, I built my success on network marketing for about 4.5 years. And then last year, as we discussed, was a very pivotal year in my life where I just had, once again, to ask the hard questions of, are you fulfilled? Are you in the right environment? And what is your true purpose? And in that, I recognized that I just want to truly be around people where we can do good together. And with that decision came a pivot and change of companies, a pivot and change of products, a pivot and change of people. But every single change has been done with a purpose, and it is to live a more authentic life, to be more fulfilled, because success is great, right? And money's amazing, but money does not buy that feeling in your heart when you are just like in the right place. Right. So Veronica is a woman who is very curious. She never gets tired of learning. I'm extremely bold and courageous, and I think that because of those things, I've been able to achieve what I have and just become the woman that I am today.
There's so much to unpack there because your story is amazing. I think what I'd like to try to do first is just talk about the concept of career, right? Because you had mentioned that you started your career really in one genre and you've shifted over the course of your lifetime so far. But I'm curious, like what led you to think that broadcasting and that industry was the industry for you? Like, how did that come about?
So I really believe in people and stories, and I believe that I know this sounds so, lame for many, but I actually believe that we can change the world.
Yes.
That is an unpopular belief for many because they think that you're daydreaming, but I have that true belief. And I learned about journalism and I learned about old school journalism and how these journalists were impacting politics and they were impacting policy. And I just thought wait, I can do that. And I got so excited. So I not only studied in college journalism, but all throughout high school, my 4 years in high school, I was the main anchor and, with this big vision of we could do something great. And I think that once I actually got into the industry and I saw how corrupt it is, and I got to experience the first time where my news director told me, hey, we're taking your story down because our advertiser doesn't like it. It was on guns. And this man, he owned a pawn shop that sold mostly guns. I recognized how could we be editing and muting out valuable stories? And I wasn't getting paid enough for it, and it's like, if I'm going to be getting paid nothing, but I'm actually going to be able to do investigative work, I don't care. I'm all for it. I would take the noble job, but I recognized it was not what it used to be. So that's when I recognized, why do it? And so many times I look back and I'm like, I'm so grateful I didn't let fear stop me. Because so many people identify that they're not doing the right thing. They're not in the right place. And it's just that fear that keeps them there. Like, I've already come this far. Yeah. And I will not trade 8 years of my life for the rest of my life. Who cares what I had already invested? Like, I learned from it. I grew from it. And it was part of who I am. But it was, time to turn the page.
Well, I think it's important. You recognized who you were in that moment, and you recognized what you wanted, right? A lot of people don't have that, right? They don't have the insight and the introspection to know what their own character is and where their sense of fulfillment comes, like from where. I'm curious, like, how did you develop that awareness, right? Because that's not something that, again, comes easy to everyone.
Yeah. So funny enough, I was this weekend learning from a Navy SEAL who was talking about traumas. And this is a man who's been through a lot of traumas. And at the end of the story, I mean, we recognize that our traumas can actually be our strength. And from a very young age, I grew up feeling very unseen and unloved in the home that I grew up in. It's not that I had bad parents. It's just they were doing the best they knew how to. But I feel like through that journey, I sort of had to prove to myself like who I was, which made me be successful at everything that I did. And it was like, it was me and me. It was just me and me. So I was constantly having conversations with myself, asking myself like the things that I wish that maybe like my parents asked me. It's like, no, I learned I had to be my strength, because if not, I was going to be a nobody. And if I let the lack of love, penetrate deep down and like cause all these wounds, I was going to be a nobody. So I just decided to be my best friend and to grow this crazy confidence that sometimes people, I remember when I was younger, it could be confused for like being conceited, but no one knows the other side of the conceited girl. Right. They don't know like the pain of not feeling enough and then making yourself be enough. And I just think that I just created this beautiful relationship with myself. And I almost like vowed to myself, like, I will never let you down. I'm going to protect you, and whatever cost it takes, like, you're not going to suffer. Your suffering is done. You're now an adult, and now it's your turn to take care of you. And that's what I did.
Wow. And at what age was this like transformation from a mindset standpoint taking place?
That was very young, I feel like, but I would continue with the rebellion of recognizing, okay, I'm taking care of myself, but I still want attention from my parents. So I would do rebellious things. I would get in trouble. I was the honor student, but also the one that was getting in all the trouble. So I had teachers that would like vouch for me, like, please let Veronica go to prom. She's, in the cheer squad and she's our news anchor. And then, it was a lot. But I think in college, there was a pivotal moment where I paid someone to take a class for me because I thought I was better than the class. I was like, world religion, I don't need this, right? I thought I was superior. It was a very humbling moment when the person that I paid to take the class plagiarized. I was called out for cheating. I failed the class. And then they told me you have to pay to take it again. And I was paying for my schooling. Yes. So at that moment, the self-reflection hit. And I'm really good at self-reflecting. Like, you can't tell me something about me that I don't already know because I'm my own biggest critic. And at that moment, I just said, Veronica, who are you trying to trick? Like, there's no shortcuts. You want to take a shortcut, you're going to hit a wall. You want to trust someone else other than yourself, you're going to hit a wall. And I think that moment was really when I said, okay, now you're really done with all your childish ways. Enough, no more. You're an adult and you have to take care of you.
Wow. And that experience obviously pushed you into a trajectory that your life is now, right? Obviously you went through different seasons, but ultimately it pushed you forward where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
When you look at the driving force beyond just like that self-reflection, like how do things like discipline and tenacity flow into what you're doing?
You know, a lot of successful people that I know have actually really broken childhood stories. So sometimes when I see people that haven't accomplished much, but they look very normal, I'm like, oh, well, lucky you. Maybe you just had a really good life.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just like the self-critic in me. Like I knew I had to succeed. And if at any moment I was doing anything to self-sabotage that success, there was a voice in my head that was just tearing me up.
Okay.
Which is not a nice answer, perhaps, right? You want something more colorful, but it was just my truth. I was self-judging myself harder than anyone else. So I'm a woman of my word. And I just believe that if you say something, like, you have to do it. So if I was going to tell myself I need to achieve this goal, there was no if, ands, or buts.
Right.
You just figure it out. And, when I would find myself procrastinating, I would recognize I would tell myself, you just get the job done. So you figure it out.
Right.
And I always conditioned my mind to become this personality that just figures it out. Right. And one of the most toxic traits I think people have is how they speak about themselves. And they say that they are all their flaws they highlight, which I've never understood. Because I thoroughly understand my flaws, but I'm not going to name myself my flaw. I'm gonna, work to overcome it. So it was simply that. It was having that self-awareness of no one is gonna do the work but you. So you have to take action. Fears are nothing but, part of the journey. Yeah. You don't feel fear and stop. You feel fear and you get through it, because then you could look back at that fear and be like, ha, you tried to stop me, but I'm stronger than you.
I love that.
And at that moment, you become invincible, because now anytime you feel fear, you already know how the story ends.
I like to analyze and analogize to the fact that pretty much everything is like doing push-ups, right? No matter what it is, no one can do the push-ups for you. If you want the benefit of whatever it is, you have to go through the struggle to get there. Yeah. And you've gone through some struggle, right? So you found yourself in a career that was not fulfilling, that was not leading to your outcome. Like, what was the thought process in that moment where you said, I've had enough? Like, what was it that actually catapulted you to make the change?
Well, when you feel like dying, okay. I think that's, a life-changing moment. I had gone to school, paid for it. For 4 years, I was a server, waiting tables, paying for every single course. And then you graduate to make $11.50 an hour, to make a $24,000 a year salary. I was already driving a BMW because I was making a lot of tips. Right. At that point, it's like, okay, I'm now in my career. I can't afford my car. I can't afford my rent. Praise Jesus, I had a father who could help me financially. If not, I couldn't stay afloat. But it was really the understanding that I would go into this studio, and my news director was just someone who I just did not respect at all. Like, this guy had no sense of growth, of people, of connection, synergy. And I was like, this is the person I have to listen to. Like, I will be damned if someone that I know, unfortunately, I could see right through the man. And I could tell he has a ton of issues at home, a ton of issues in his life, in his heart, unresolved. Right. And I just looked at myself and I'm like, you're going to put yourself in the leadership of this person? Like, what are you doing? You're taking a million steps backwards. And I just knew I had to get out, because every day I hated my life. Because if you wake up hating your life, that's just not a good recipe. And I didn't know I did not know what I was going to do at all. Okay. And I will tell you, what I did is I turned to prayer. Okay. And I don't know if you're a man of faith, but for me, it's all I knew to do. I had no other outlets. It's like I just picked up everything from Miami. I moved to Mississippi, and I'm seeing all of these things. And like, what do I do now? Do I just stay unhappy, or I take action? And I prayed a lot. And then this opportunity came to me through my sister. Okay. My older sister was like, hey, I know you're struggling financially. I found this company and we can sell some products online and make money. And when she told me that, I was like, you're insane. I'm a news reporter. I'm not going to sell shampoo. Like, what? Like, that was the product we were selling. Mm-hmm. And so I told her no, and she kept coming back. And one day I just had it. Mm-hmm. But I also, through praying, I got this message of, you're struggling and there's an opportunity and you're throwing it away. Mm. Who do you think you are?
Right.
And at that moment I said, you know what, I'm just going to do this. And I signed up, and really quickly I just applied the work ethic that I already had within me into this vehicle. Yeah. And within 3 months, I had earned a car by the company.
Oh, wow.
And I was making like, $10,000 within my first 3 months when I was used to making $1,400.
Right.
And there was these huge shifts in my life. And I always say, like, God works fast. Like, when you're ready for change and you lean into the change.
But that's the key point. You have to lean in. See, opportunity, most people ignore it because it comes dressed in overalls and it looks like work, right? But you have to put in the effort. Yeah. And you did. Like you said, okay, don't get me wrong, you had some resistance, which is normal because it's a new language to you and it's a new experience for you. Yeah. And you already had an idea of who you were at that moment, right? Yeah. We all have our own perceptions of ourselves, the uniforms we wear, if you will. But you were faced with an opportunity and you took action. You actually went out there and started doing it. And because of that, you got results, right?
Yeah.
What was the most critical thing you learned in those first few months of experiencing a brand new way of making a living?
I learned that life is good. Mm-hmm. I learned that no matter what rut you're in, there's another page and there's another chapter. And so, like, your results are going to be based on your decisions. And there were so many times when I looked back and said, I almost didn't do this. Like, this is insane. I was so close to not doing it because of what would people think, or because of, oh, is it gonna, am I gonna look silly? And I just want to remind you guys that the masses are not going to have the mindset of the 1%.
Correct.
Like, the people that get it, get it. And the people that don't.
And they never will.
And they never will. Yeah. And I always had this idea of network marketing because of what other people said. But all these people were people that had no success. And then when I achieved huge things in the industry, I had all these very successful friends from other areas of life. And they were all like, go, Veronica.
Absolutely.
These successful people are cheering me on because they know that the only way to get to that level is through resilience.
Oh, yes.
Like, nonstop, you wake up every single day with this one mission to get ahead. You don't even know exactly where it is that you're going, but you're just giving your whole energy to pursuing the next level and the next version of your life. So, yeah,
a lot of people call it grit, right?
Grit.
You have the willingness to get up and do the things through discipline, which is the ability to do the things you don't want to do because they have to be done.
Yeah.
And just have that resilience to go through it. Now, one of the things you battled is something that I think a lot of people struggle with, right? And that it's that sense of self-identity, but a reflection of what you believe other people believe of you. How did you get through that? Like, did you read any books? Did you have mentors that helped you through that process? Like, what was it? Because I know that there are so many people that struggle with that. Even people who have hit certain milestones, they plateau because they're not willing to do the other things that are necessary to get to the next level.
I think I'm a bad person to ask that question, and I'll tell you why. Like, when you grow up feeling like the person who gave birth to you doesn't love you, and you recognize that you could survive without that love, you really don't care what anyone thinks about you.
Oh, wow. Yeah. But that's not the case for most people.
That's not the case for most people. So now I'll take it one step deeper. Okay. So what I recognize through maturity and through becoming a grown woman is that it's not that my mother didn't love me, is that she had so many traumas of her own that she didn't know how to express the love.
Right.
Therefore, any negative emotions that she ever brought into my life, they were forgiven because they weren't intentional. Right. and she did the best she could. So if right now you're putting all this focus on what someone thinks about you, like that person doesn't even know what they think about themselves.
Exactly.
You know, like they're probably, if they have the time and energy to talk bad about you or to try and crush your dreams, it's because they don't have dreams of their own.
Correct.
So for me, I just really don't care. You know, the real ones are gonna see through whatever, even if it's someone that doesn't respect the industry that I'm in, but then they meet me, and then they have to do like math. 1 + 1 = 2. Like if she's such a cool person, and there must be something about the industry, a perspective that I haven't been able to see because I've never done it and I've never experienced it. And I've had a lot of people that have never been able to see the industry from my perspective. And I have friends that tell me, hey, you could do whatever you want. Like, why don't you start your own company, your own product, all of this? I know I could do that.
Right.
It's not a self-limiting belief, the reason why I work for another company. The reason why I do it is because it comes with a lot less headaches.
Yeah.
I don't manufacture the product. I don't ship. I don't have to have a huge team of people that, you know, the people that are on my team, they're their own business owners.
Correct.
I mentor them and I guide them, but their success is up to them. Versus having to live a life where, you know, business is the main thing. And I'm a female. I want to be a mom. I want to be able to work from home.
Right.
As much as I love producing and making money, I want to make it on my way. And I found that this industry is genius.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because I think that a lot of people don't understand the industry as a whole. So let's dive into it for a moment. Like, from your perspective, what is the industry? Like, what is it all about?
So network marketing just gives anyone the chance. Like, it doesn't matter where you come from. You could have a degree, you could live under a bridge. It's going to give you the opportunity to represent their product. And you could market their product in whatever form you'd like. So the most genius thing is to partner with a product that you're absolutely obsessed with.
Right.
So currently I partnered with this brand that's all about pure and potent oils, and I know the research, and in my mind, like what they're selling is just genius.
You're 100% behind it.
Oh my God, right? And so is my husband, like my whole household.
Right.
And so when you partner with a company right like that, now they say, okay, now you have the ability to build a sales force.
Right.
So I could go off and sell 1 million products, which I do because I want to help as many people as I can. But I'm also thinking strategically as a business owner, how do I make money while I sleep?
Correct.
Well, if I recruit people in Europe as, you know, part of my sales force,
different time zones,
I'm sleeping, they're selling, and I wake up and I'm getting commissions on everything that's in my downline. So what is it? It's a regular industry as in real estate, right? You've got your brokers, you've got your realtors.
Exactly.
People hate the idea of it's a pyramid scheme, and they don't recognize that everything is a pyramid scheme. Like, you have the CEO, you have the managers, the administrators, etc. So to me, the industry is just very accepting. And it gives anyone a free slate. And there are some genius people that just have had zero opportunities in life.
Yes.
And I've met some people that could scrub the floors as if their life depended on it. And that's their work ethic. And if they bring that work ethic into this vehicle, which is what happened to me.
Exactly.
Work ethic has never been something I lacked, but I had it in all the wrong vehicles. And I just applied it to the right vehicle. And, you know, I made my first million at 25 years old. How do you not grow passionate about that?
Exactly.
How do you not see this? And it's not going to be for everyone. Why? Because not everyone has the vision.
Absolutely.
Not everyone has the work ethic. But the few that do, if they land in the right vehicle, it changes their life.
When you look at that, landing in the right vehicle, like, how did you go about, without obviously naming names, but how did you go about actually selecting the right vehicle for you? Because that's another common question that people who are investigating the industry, like, what do I do? What products are the ones that I should be promoting? What is it? Because it's very akin to like affiliate marketing, right? Because it's a similar concept. You're taking someone else's product and you're basically positioning it out. But in unlike affiliate marketing, you're actually creating an ecosystem of other entrepreneurs with you.
Yeah. So, and this doesn't even have to apply to network marketing. Even if you're an employee and you're choosing a company to work for, what I've learned in this, because I just chose a company, right? I made a switch and all of this. And there was so much like pressure to make the right decision, because the reason why I had a fallout with where I got all my success was because of this shift in values. So that's where my answer came from. Like, you want to work with a company that shares your values. So in your heart, what's the most important thing to you?
Right.
For me, it's healing. It's whether it's healing through faith, healing through health, the food you eat. And I just felt the heart of this company in a way that I felt safe. You know, there's times where I've worked in places that I didn't feel safe, where you know that if you have a slight mess up or you say one wrong thing, like, you're out. They don't care. You're a number. You're there to make them money. And if you're not making them money, or if you're thinking differently than them, you are a trigger. And that is a scary place to work in, because, you know, at the end of the day, I don't own my own business. When you affiliate yourself with a network marketing company, there are owners of the company. So at the same time, I know that, you know, essentially you can lose it all. So how do you make sure you don't lose it all? And you know, the hours that you put into building the business are actually worth it. Well, you find a company that shares your heart. And that's what happened. I found a company that believed in how pure the products are, a company that gives like farmers all around the world jobs because they work directly with them. So it's like, we're not having a middleman, we're working directly. And those are my values, right? If I was someone who highly just valued a comp plan, who highly just valued the dollars coming in my pocket, I would have made a different decision. Because there are companies with better comp plans. So the most important part in life, I think, is just understanding who you are and what are your needs. You know, and your needs don't have to be my needs. Perhaps when I talk, someone cringes because they're like, oh my God, this girl, you know? But I found out my needs, and I ended up in a place that makes a lot of sense for me.
Well, you're being your authentic self.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about that earlier, the concept of authenticity. And as it flows into everything that you do, you align with the right people.
Yeah.
See, one of the things I really like about the industry is that you are incentivized to help other people do well.
Yes.
Right? So I'm kind of curious, like, how do you actually go about doing that? Like, what is your methodology by which you instill some of the learnings that you've been fortunate to have in life? Like, how do you give that to other people?
So I want to ask you a question real quick to see if we're on the same page. So why do you think the majority of people can't find success?
Most of the time, it's mindset.
There you go.
Yeah.
So my approach, which the systems are already all laid out, and thankfully I joined a company that it's not brand new. So we've got like online courses that teach you, okay, in network marketing, this is how you build from A through Z. These are the 5 major things you need to focus on, the breakdown. I mean, just someone that puts themselves through that course, you have the whole rundown. My thing is, as a leader, I need to instill in people the self-belief that they lack.
Yes.
Because that is what people can't get over. It's like seeing the work, understanding what they need to do, but being so afraid that they're going to fail that they never take that first step forward. And I love to normalize failure.
Yes, absolutely.
And, you know,
you should actually embrace it.
Embrace it and letting everyone on my team just see my journey and make myself as far from perfect as possible, because then they recognize, whoa, Veronica's so human and she's still finding success. And on my days where I'm frazzled and I'm like not having a good day, I'll even like let them in, not enough where they lose respect for me,
Correct.
but enough where they understand that, hey, you don't need to be perfect to make it.
Yes.
So I think that the most genius thing is that mindset piece, but also I think it's so important to build loyalty, because when you build loyalty with your people, they're going to work at a different rate than they will if they just sign up with you and they can tell that they're just another number.
Curious, what's your particular secret to success in building loyalty? Like, how do you go about doing that?
I really just think that it's like having my heart available in conversations and showing people that I care. And how do you do that? Well, when you're having a conversation, it's different if you're like pacing around or like you choose a phone call over a Zoom. Like when I sign up someone new, I'm like, no, it has to be a Zoom.
Exactly.
Like I want you to see me.
Yes.
I want to see you. I want to connect. I want to ask you questions about your life. I'm not just going to tell you, well, this is how you build this business. No, I need to understand who you are. And I need to understand what your needs are. And when you ask people those deeper questions, they're like, whoa, like this person cares about me.
Different level of connection, exactly.
And that's it. And what is sales? I mean, there's different forms of sales, right? There's the transactional sales, but there's also just like the connection. Like there are people who buy from me, they don't even know me, but I've given them so much value through my social media and I've shared with them my health journey of like removing my breast implants and root canals and my journey to health. And then they say, well, if Veronica's believing in these products and I've witnessed her journey to health, I'm going to believe in them too. And that's it. I care about people for real. So there's no way to fake it.
Right.
If you're someone that just doesn't, then you just have to do something else.
Do something
right?
else, exactly.
Like
if
go
it's not
work
in
on your
alignment
own.
with who you are, it isn't what it is.
Exactly. And not everyone's meant to grow in this industry.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a place for everyone in the world.
Yeah.
But if you're interested in taking your life and your business to the next level, these are the types of places that you want to be.
Totally.
When you look at the journey as of late, obviously you've gone through a transition. You were at one company, now you're at another. I'm curious, like, what identity shifts did you have to go through in order to make that change for yourself?
So many. And I just want to say, like, your environment matters because you could be someone in your heart, but if you are around people that move differently, you can't shine in your true authenticity because there's these expectations to be like everyone that's around you. And I feel like when I walked away from where I initially grew and I had that time to just like sit with my heart and recognize, like, why did you feel the need to leave so bad? Because it wasn't that well thought out, you know? I learned a lot of lessons, but like I just booked it. Like from one day to another, everything that I had put under the rug just like came up and I was like, I need to run. And I ran. And through that, I recognized, you know, what's important for me. And I'm not, the leader that I am today is nowhere near who I was before.
Right.
Because before it's like I always wanted to be this caliber of leader, but no one around me was exuding that. So I felt like, well, I'm the oddball. Like I'm doing too much.
Right.
And I think that now I recognize that I don't need to compare myself to the number one income earner in the company because they could have achieved that level of success, but not have the fulfillment that I desire in my heart. So this time around, I just feel like I'm actually me and I'm building without any expectations of what anyone thinks about me. And I'm going to be the leader that I wish I could have. And thankfully, I ended up aligning. The way I ended up in this company was insane. Like, let me just say that. Like, when God has divine alignment for you, it happens.
It just works, yes.
I was at a real estate event, and it was a lawyer who is a top earner with his wife in this company.
Wow.
And I ended up talking to him like, hey, you know, I'm thinking about going back into the industry. I'm flying to Utah to meet X company. And he's like, my company is based out of Utah. My wife and I are top earners. I think you're incredible and I think you would love it. And I was like, what? What are the chances?
Yes.
But, you know, just I think that the evolution happens when you allow yourself to reflect hard and be honest with yourself. Because the way that I left wasn't the best way either. There were learning lessons through every single phase of it. And now I'm just someone who's embraced those lessons. And I know what's good about me and I know what's bad. And just being a more intentional leader, I think would be the word.
You said something a few moments ago, and I don't think I want to gloss over it because I think it's really critically important. And it was the word fulfillment. Because if you look at the things that most people strive for in life, if you could boil it down to one word, I think it's that word. But what is it for you?
Fulfillment for me is honestly just like peace.
Okay.
You know, when you're doing things for a result that isn't like a pure one, you'll never have fulfillment. Right. So if you're in a business partnership, simply because, you know, this person can introduce you to the next person that's going to make you the next million, but it's conditional.
Right.
It's not because I just love what I'm doing. And there are people, it's my husband inspired me to think this way. My husband works every hour of the day. Like, honestly, like
Yes.
I thought I was a workaholic, and then I married him and I was like, whoa, dude, can you just chill for 1 second? Just please relax. But he tells me, he's like, honey, when you are so passionate about what you're doing, you're never working.
Exactly.
And I think that that's where that fulfillment piece is found in work, when you actually give yourself the space to pursue what your heart is telling you is for you.
Exactly.
You know, there are people in banking who are amazing painters and they wish they could be a painter, and their fulfillment would be in that, but they're chasing the money.
Right.
So they need to settle for this idea of, okay, I live a good life, I make a good income, but they've got this feeling inside of, I should be doing something else. You got to follow your heart at the end of the day.
The absence of fulfillment, I think, is the one thing that most people experience that truly leads to ruin, right? Like if you are not in a state of fulfillment, you make major mistakes in life. You do things that, quite frankly, will not lead to joy or happiness. So when you're looking at the people that you support, because again, you're building now a community of entrepreneurs within your team, like, how do you help them to learn about this concept of fulfillment?
I think you lead people by example.
Okay.
And when they see that you're actually someone that shows up in good spirits, that wants to help, they recognize like, whoa, this actually exists and I could become that if I follow her path. You know, and it doesn't have to be my path in specific, but it's, you know, the authenticity that I wake up every morning with to be who I want to be and do what I want to do. And, you know, when you tell someone to be something, I think their brain doesn't take it in as well as when they just see someone embodying something.
Exactly.
Like, have you ever watched someone just walk by and their energy is so contagious?
Oh, yes.
And that's all I want to be for my people. And how do I do that? Well, by taking care of me first and, you know, prioritizing the things that are important, and they can see it. I think that's it. People want to be led by people that are leading themselves first.
Oh, that's key.
Yeah.
People want to be led by leaders.
Yeah. And there are too many fake leaders right now.
Oh, God, yes.
So many.
When you look at your journey, obviously at this point, you're making a transition. What do you see is on the horizon for you? Like, where do you see the next 2 to 5 years?
I just want to impact so many lives. And before, it was never about the other lives, I will say.
Okay.
Before, it was about my life.
Okay.
Because I was, you know, the one that was broke and with the pain and not knowing the possibilities. So everything that I accomplished in the past was about saving myself. I'm already saved. And even if I don't have the huge checks that I used to have, because now they're a work in progress again,
Right.
I know in my heart that I could achieve whatever I want. I have the abundance mindset. I've already seen the possibilities. So my goal now is just being able, through me being a light, attract other people that can go on this same journey and experience it for themselves, and then let that ripple effect continue. So my goals right now are just like stay on track and stay focused, because building is hard.
Yes.
Like going back to square zero, it's like I haven't slept in a few weeks since launch. You know, I'm like nonstop, but it's exciting. It's exciting because there's a bigger purpose. And how I told you, like the company I'm aligned with, their purpose alone is so ginormous that being a voice for that, to grow that purpose and let people know what we're doing and why we're doing it, it has a great impact on the world. So
what do you think the biggest roadblock is going to be for you to achieve the things that you want to achieve?
I never think like that.
Okay. Okay, so there's no roadblocks ahead.
I just think with time, everything unfolds.
Okay.
I think patience Patience is probably the most important thing, because when you've been at a certain level and then you're like on the rise again, you're like, oh, I just want to be there. But I think that that's, it's all taken care of. And I think that there are two mindsets. People look at problems and they stay stuck on those, and they reevaluate the problem and reevaluate. I'm like a solution kind of person.
Okay.
You tell me there's something wrong, and automatically my brain fires like 3 different things that we can do. And then my brain fires what's the best possibility, what could have the best outcome. Okay, let's do that.
I love it.
And when you think about the roadblocks, I feel like they become real.
Okay.
For me, it's like one day at a time.
Okay.
I don't even know if I'm going to be here tomorrow, so why think so far ahead? It's a little morbid, but it's the truth.
I get it. When you're looking at the career, obviously the path that you've been on, you've had a lot of things that have gone on in your life. You've had the big paycheck days, you've had the struggling days. If you look at the things that have been most important to you, like how would you categorize that on like a list? Like if you had to say, these are the things that have happened to me in my life, these are the things that have been most transformative for me, these are the things I'm so most grateful for, like how would you organize that list?
Simple. The 2 most important things: who you keep around. So like the quality of the people.
Yes.
Because these people around you can make you or break you. These people around you can make you feel like you're limitless or powerless. Quality of people. 2, God.
Yes.
That's it. I don't need anything else.
Wow. This is awesome. One of the things I like to do with everyone who comes here is I like to jump into like a thought exercise. So if you wouldn't mind, would you like to indulge me?
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to imagine for a moment that you have the ability to go back in time to visit with a younger version of Veronica. And you can go back at any point in your lifetime, and you can share one piece of practical wisdom with her. Where would you go? Meaning, at what age would you go to visit yourself? What was going on in your life in that moment? And what's the wisdom that you would share?
I would say, ever since I can remember, like 5 or 6,
Okay.
I started judging my mom at a very young age.
Okay.
And a lot of turbulence came from that judgment. And I would just tell my young self, like, hey, she's in so much more pain than you are. And like, just people are doing the best that they can. And what someone makes you feel is not a reflection of them. Like you're internalizing those feelings.
Correct.
Like I was making things that didn't have to be real so real and so painful in my world.
So many of us do that though, right?
Yes. And it causes so much pain that doesn't need to be there, because we just think about like, oh, they're hurting me, and it's like that's not even their intention.
Right.
So I think that was a lesson that I learned that just allowed me to have so much freedom. There are times where my mom, she still does things that I'm like, how are you doing this, Mom? But now I see it from such a different perspective that it's like, it's all love. And I just pray for her. And I'm always like, I just want to see her find the level of fulfillment that thankfully I've found. And she must have done something right, because I became the woman that I became.
Absolutely.
And not only me, my sisters too. Like we're all successful, and it's amazing, just going back and telling myself that, I think would have made a world of a difference. But then I probably wouldn't have became the woman I am today.
Yeah, struggle is an important part of learning, right?
Yeah.
They say a baby learns to crawl because its toys are just out of reach. So at the end of the day, it's a component of real education.
Yes.
I'm curious, because the whole thought exercise is usually a two-parter, and I'd like you to be able to imagine for a moment that a future version of Veronica now has come back to visit with us in this moment, and she has the opportunity to share a piece of practical wisdom with you sitting here today. What does she share?
Thank you for following your heart.
Oh, wow.
Because it's been hard. I'm sitting here and I'm sharing, from a good place, but this past year has been a lot. And there were days where I was so overwhelmed with the decisions that I had to make, with also for the first time in my life, I feel like I actually cared what other people thought, because now I had built this brand and all these people that looked at me with this expectation, and sometimes the weight on my shoulders felt so heavy, and there were easier decisions I could have made, you know, to just keep the image. Yeah. But I said, no, I will not live a happy life if I just live for the image of what people are going to think. And I chose to follow my heart. And right now I'm in the middle of it. And I know that right now I feel amazing. You know, after a year of a lot of turbulence, now I feel like I'm in a place of so much alignment. And the relationships that have came into my life as a result of leaving old ones behind have been so much more in line with who I am in my heart. You know, not the woman that I portrayed on the journey to become successful. Because that woman, she had to exist. You know, the boss babe, the relentless, this whole identity that's, oh my God, it's so toxic. You can't even get me started on that. Because I'm like, we're females. At the end of the day, we're females. And we have to also embrace that role that got so lost in the boss babe culture. But yeah, I would just say, I'm happy for you for following your heart, and you're going to achieve things that you couldn't even imagine. And that dream that I've had since I was a little girl of changing the world, like today, it feels more real than ever. And I know that in 10 years, I'm going to have done something that's going to impact so many lives. And not just from the network marketing business side. Like, I want to truly impact people across the world who don't have food, who don't have water, because it blows my mind the amount of money and success that some of us have. And we're so consumed by our needs that we forget the needs of literally our brothers and sisters all around the world who are suffering. So yeah, I would tell myself that.
I love that, because I honestly, I echo that. I believe that if you are fortunate to actually benefit from the effort and energy that you put into the world, you're a steward of those resources, and you have to use them practically and for the betterment of everyone, right? Not just yourself and your family. Because the world is abundant. Everything that comes from the concepts, the byproducts, if you will, of success, that's all abundance. And if you put it out into the universe, it has a way of coming back tenfold.
Yeah, and that's something I didn't do the first time around. Like, I think so many times about just the dumb ways I spent my money, you know? And
we all go through those evolutions.
Yeah,
right?
Thankfully, all my successful friends tell me, Veronica, don't beat yourself up. It's round 2.
Exactly.
Like, you got this. And now I have all these structures set up and this intentionality behind, you know, what money means and what we're going to do with it. But yeah, I mean, if there's any advice, if you're like someone that's just starting and you're making your first big checks, be wise. Right? Because it's such a tool, and you could use it in so many ways. And it's so silly to spend it on designer and diamonds and all these things. And it's more done in South Florida, I feel like. You know, or in these big cities, you feel like you need to play this role, and it's like, what role are you playing?
Exactly.
You know? The
vast majority of people don't think about you after you're out of their sight. So at the end of the day, why do you care what they think about you?
Exactly.
I love it. I'm so happy for you. I think that the transition that you're going through is a remarkable one. I think that it's going to lead to outcomes that you can't even imagine yet. So the adventure is going to be just that, an adventure. Just live it and enjoy it.
Thank you.
Now, the audience, I'm sure, has loved everything you've shared. And I'm curious, like, if they wanted to reach out to you and connect with you in any way, like, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I built my brand on social, on Instagram in particular. So find me at the Veronica Schreyer. And I'm really good with my DMs. You know, I've had periods in my life where I had like an assistant handling it. Now I'm back. I'm always on the DMs. And I also have a podcast, so you will find it through my page, and I try to give as much value. So definitely, if you do end up following me, get ready to hear about the journey, you know, whether it's building my business or building my faith. I think it's so important to share, right? Because if we're going on a journey, why not bring others along?
Absolutely. Well, Veronica, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being your authentic self, as you always are.
Thank you.
And I've gotten a lot of value out of the conversation. And I know you've gotten a lot of value out of this conversation as well. I'm so happy you were here for it. My name is Edward Collins. I'm your host, Entrepreneur Unleashed, and I can't wait to see you on the next episode. Bye for now. Veronica, thank you so much. That was awesome. That was awesome.